How did a man who wasn't born into old money become the person who defined what old money looks like? Ralph Lauren grew up in a working-class neighborhood in the Bronx. He wasn't raised on a country estate. He didn't attend an Ivy League school. He didn't inherit generations of wealth. Yet somehow, he built the brand that millions of people picture when they think of American old money. How is that possible? Ralph Lauren wasn't even born Ralph Lauren. He was born Ralph Lifshitz. Early in his career, he changed his name. It's tempting to think that's where the transformation began. Maybe it did. Because over the next several decades, Ralph Lauren wouldn't just create a new name. He would create an entirely new world. And that's not just a figure of speech. For decades, Ralph Lauren has described his company as the world of Ralph Lauren, not the house of Ralph Lauren, not the Ralph Lauren collection, the world of Ralph Lauren. That distinction turns out to explain almost everything. Most luxury brands begin with a product, a watch, a handbag, a car. Ralph Lauren began with a question: what does wealth look like? Not wealth on a balance sheet, wealth that feels inherited, effortless, timeless, the kind of wealth that never has to prove itself. But there was one problem. Ralph Lauren had never lived in that world. So, where did it come from? The answer is that Ralph Lauren wasn't copying one lifestyle. He was studying them. British country estates, Ivy League campuses, equestrian traditions, the American West, New England summers, old Hollywood. None of these worlds naturally belonged together. Yet Ralph Lauren saw something they all shared: tradition, confidence, permanence, belonging. Instead of recreating one culture, he carefully stitched pieces of all of them together until they became one. And eventually, that imagined world became more recognizable than the real ones that inspired it. Ralph Lauren didn't invent old money. He invented what the rest of us think old money looks like. Open almost any Ralph Lauren campaign, and something feels different. The clothes rarely tell the story. The world does. Stone estates, wood-panelled libraries, horse stables, sailboats, golden retrievers sleeping beside fireplaces, vintage cars, families who seem to have known one another forever. The clothing is almost secondary. The environment is the product. Most fashion advertisements ask, "Do I like these clothes?" Ralph Lauren asked something much more powerful. "Do I want this life?" You can even see it in the logo. Why polo? Why not golf? Why not tennis? Why choose one of the world's oldest aristocratic sports? Because the logo was never meant to explain what Ralph Lauren sold. It explained the world he wanted people to imagine: tradition, privilege, elegance, leisure. The logo wasn't describing the product. It was describing the person the customer imagined becoming. Then Ralph Lauren did something almost no fashion designer had done before. Instead of opening another luxury boutique, he restored a Gilded Age mansion on Madison Avenue. Think about that. If you're selling shirts, why buy a mansion? Because Ralph Lauren wasn't trying to create a better store. He was trying to make his world feel real. Walking through those doors didn't feel like entering a clothing shop. It felt like entering one of his advertisements. The architecture, the antiques, the fireplaces, the wood panelling, every detail reinforced the same story. This wasn't retail, it was world building, and once that world existed, it could keep growing. Furniture, home collections, fragrance, restaurants, coffee. At first, those products seem completely unrelated, but they all answer the same question. If someone truly lived in the Ralph Lauren world, what else would surround them? Most companies expand to sell more products. Ralph Lauren expanded to make the fantasy more believable. But perhaps the biggest question isn't why Ralph Lauren chose old money, it's why America wanted it. Ralph Lauren launched his company during a period when fashion was becoming louder, faster, more experimental. He went in the opposite direction. Instead of novelty, He offered permanence instead of trends, tradition instead of rebellion, belonging. While everyone else was chasing what came next, Ralph Lauren was building something that felt like it had always been there. One moment perfectly captured how powerful that vision had become. In 1974, Hollywood was bringing The Great Gatsby to the screen, one of America's most iconic stories about wealth, status, and reinvention. Ralph Lauren outfitted the film's male cast, including Robert Redford's Gatsby. The remarkable part wasn't simply that his clothes appeared in the film, it's that they barely needed to be transformed. They already looked like they belonged there. European luxury brands inherited centuries of history. Ralph Lauren couldn't. His company was new, his story was new, so instead, he did something much harder. He built a brand that felt like it had always existed. He wasn't preserving history. He was designing the feeling of history. Ralph Lauren understood something that most brands never do. People don't just buy products. They buy stories about the people they hope to become. He didn't sell America its past. He sold America a version of its past that millions of people wished had been theirs. And in doing so, a man who wasn't born into old money created the image of old money that millions of people still recognize today.